Options. Options are what everyone asks for, whether or not they realize they need them or not. So today we're going to be talking about the Vortex Defender XL, a large windowed competitor to the Holosun 507 COM and the Trijicon SRO. Now, as per usual, we decided that we were going to subject this thing to a 6,000 round test with a whole lot of just regular drilling. There wasn't a whole lot of burn downs, in which my opinion on the efficacy of which is rather, well, they're useless, unless you're Aaron Cowan and decide to take a product for another 40,000 rounds after said burn down. No, instead of trying to accelerate wear pattern on products, we just go through that wear pattern naturally. Now, I shot this thing in a concealed capacity as well as a duty capacity, or rather an open carry capacity, because I figured that a lot of people are carrying larger windowed optics in general, as well as using them out of their holsters for competitive use, because a lot of people have figured out that large window optics don't really have any sort of effect on how much a gun prints, because that optic is right on your belt line. Unless, of course, you're the kind of person that wears shirts that are entirely too small and has spent entirely too little time in a gym. That said, let's go ahead and talk about the feature set on this guy, and then we'll go forward from there. Now, on its face, we have a lot of modern features that a lot of people are looking for, such as shake awake, rather tactile buttons as far as brightness control is concerned, brightness lockout, a 2032 battery that's loaded into a top tray, very much like a Delta Point Pro, adjustment screws for elevation and windage that are, again, very much like a Delta Point Pro, a pretty beefy housing for the glass itself, teeth up front for apparently one-handed manipulations, because slipping off of things was apparently a really large concern with large windowed optics, or optics in general, I guess. The Delta Point Pro footprint and every conceivable arrangement of screws I've ever seen for an optic. There's a whole lot that this guy comes with that make mounting it to whatever surface that you want to much easier. Now, just like the RXM that you guys forced me to review, thank you very much for that, I walked into this review with absolutely no interest in it whatsoever, but I had enough people asking me about it to sort of force me in motion about this, because, well, even if I don't have any interest in it at all, if you're not up to date, you're not relevant, in most cases anyway. So, because of this thing's increasing popularity, I decided I was going to pick one up and I was going to go ahead and really run it to see if the juice was worth the squeeze. Now, the first 1,000 rounds that was fired through this thing, I could only really characterize it as just fine, really. The one that I have is a 5-minute dot, which is a little large, but I can deal with a little large because I tend to run my dots on the bright side during the day. So the fact that this is a little bit larger than the 325 or the 2-minute dots that I personally prefer is not really that big of an issue for me. I noticed right away the glass clarity was pretty much there, and that would only really affect me during dark time stuff, but again, it's a little bit of a nice touch, especially if it was going to make it this far. And by this far, I mean actually getting to the owl vision shooting time stuff. For the next few thousand rounds, I noticed basically nothing else other than you really do want the brightness lockout in your buttons to be something that you genuinely use, because initially I didn't use this feature, and any time that I would have to clear a gun via some sort of anything that required me to run the slide forward by running my hand over the top of said slide and jacking the action would lead to changed brightness on the optic itself. Now, I recognize that, hey, this bothers me personally, but if there's brightness lockout and if it's easy to get to without sort of really complicated button scheme, it's not really that big of a deal to me. Just read the friggin' owner's manual and go from there. But unfortunately, after reading said manual, I discovered something that sort of destroyed this entire optic for anything other than competitive use, and that would be that the brightness lockout setting is reset anytime that you set the gun down for a period of time and it goes to sleep. Because the second that the shake awake shakes awake, the brightness lockout for the buttons just suddenly turns off, which is more than a little irritating, because all I really have to do is sit down for a few minutes or set the gun down for a few minutes and then forget the fact that I have to reset the brightness lockout, which honestly not everyone has the ability to do, and frankly this could affect you in a match too when you least expect it as well, because the very instant that you may have to reach over the top of the slide rather than going for the front slide serrations to fix any sort of problem whatsoever, especially if it's midday and it's very bright outside, you may suddenly now have a much dimmer reticle than the one you started with, which is more than a little irritating. Not too much further on from that, I did encounter an issue that frankly crippled this for me. Now, I recognize that in the past, as far as Vortex is concerned, dot flickering has always been sort of an issue. The older ones had a dot refresh rate issue, which led a lot of people to complain about dot flickering basically at all times, and in addition to that, they had endurance problems in that you would get all kinds of crazy stuff happening to your optics, which led to a lot of people really really using that warranty. And at the very least, Vortex is very much consistent here, because before I was able to complete the 6,000 round testing process, I ran into a problem. Now, as some of you may know, the round count for the RXM was actually a little bit ahead of this optic because they were not bought at the same time, and I'd already fired a bunch of rounds through that. What's interesting to note here, though, is that both of these reviews would be completed basically at the same time, or rather, nearly at the same time, because during a sunny day where I really did kind of need the brightness of the optic because I'm collecting footage and shooting kind of fast, I started to inexplicably lose the dot. Now, at first I thought this was me because, generally speaking, if there's an equipment problem, I usually blame myself first, but I noticed it as kind of interesting that with a gun that already shoots pretty flat, I'm just magically losing the dot somehow. Like, I'd wiggle the gun because I figured, okay, I just nosedive the optic and I put it out of my plane of vision, and then the dot would come back, and I figured, okay, I'm just having a pretty bad day. And in the clips that you're about to see, there's a whole bunch of me shooting way slower because I just figured that, well, today I am just not on it. I am having some sort of hand-eye coordination issue and I keep on losing the dot. But after shooting for an embarrassingly long amount of time on this, with this same dot loss issue, I figured, you know what, maybe it's not me. That maybe the dot is actually flickering. So with my slide lock to the rear and with my eyes poking through the optic and seeing the dot, concentrating on the dot and making sure that I didn't move the gun at all, I decided I was going to close the slide and see what happened, and then the dot flickers. Very hard, in fact. So then I took the gun over to a table and I decided to do the same thing because this was in fact repeatable. Now, this dot blink was so hard and seemed to be so deliberate that I actually thought that this was a low battery warning at first. Because typically, if I'm getting dot flickering problems, it's significantly more stroby than this. And of course, my first thought was, wow, that might possibly be the worst low battery indicator I've ever seen. Running with this thought process, though, I decided to change the battery out, and magically the problem went away. I was like, okay, well, this is in fact a low battery warning. Okay, that super sucks. I really hate this specific low battery warning indicator because unlike a Holosun, which will just intermittently blink every once in a while, I have no idea that this is coming because apparently the gun needs to cycle in order for this to happen. It's also real hot. I'm kinda dumb today and I didn't put these thoughts together yet. But on my way home, I had a thought, and the reaction to that thought in my head is the same kind of reaction that you would get if someone tells you that the best whiskey they've ever had was English, and that would be, oh dear. And the thought was, the new battery that went in probably just didn't get a chance to get shaken free yet, and eventually this flickering is going to come back. And lo and behold, I start reading up on this, start looking up this specific issue, and figure out that the dot flickering thing is not a feature. It is in fact a bug, and a lot of people have been reporting the same thing. Now, I gotta explain something to you because the first person that sees this is gonna immediately come back with, well, Vortex has a heck of a warranty and it's made for competition in the first place. And look, both of those things are true, but this is still a lousy thing to have happen, and it's lousy that it's common. Because look, dude, I know a lot of folks that are carrying an SRO in like their EDC guns mostly because of the dehorned and rounded nature of the thing, and the thing still works regardless. I know tons of people that carry 507 comps as their daily carry stuff, and a lot more that actually use them in a duty capacity. Both of these optics are able to step outside of their intended role and do just fine. And yes, of course, we have the here and there statistics about optics that were defective and things like that. Every manufacturing company has this. But what is quite unfortunate about what seems to be otherwise a perfectly suitable optic is the simple fact that this is a rather common issue that you can't see coming, and I don't care how good a friggin' warranty is. If this sort of thing happens to you, whatever it is that you're trying to do, you are likely to still be severely hampered in whatever it was that you're trying to do, or lose. Because magically having a reticle disappear, I'm sure everyone can agree, is a little less than optimal. And again, let's say that this is on a competition rig and it happens during that match. Good luck with trying to win that match from there forward, because it's one thing to know for certain that your dot is down and you're gonna have to use backup irons if you got shot him or shoot through the hood. It's another thing entirely to have it come back with you and go through the same process that I did because you didn't see this dot failing you coming. And of course, your performance suffers as a result, especially seeing as its competitors are significantly and provably more reliable than this thing on a regular basis. So now, honestly, when I get an optic or a firearm or a whatever that has some sort of issue, I'm usually willing to give it another pass, more or less to see if the issue that I've got is easily correctable. But in this particular case, I'm just not, and the reason is because of the very specific nature of this now malfunctioning piece of equipment. And of course, because the specific nature of this malfunction is one of those issues that isn't exactly 1 in 50,000. And also the ambiguity of this doesn't really help the rest of the choices that were made by Vortex when they decided to design an optic like this. Now, of course, if this thing was super reliable, I would be annoyed that it uses a delta point footprint, simply because the vast majority of anything that I've got running around is RMR footprint in the house. Now, that said, if I had stopped shooting this thing after 1,000 rounds, I would certainly understand why someone would convert over to the delta point footprint and then just use it for their competitive needs or whatever else that you wanted to use it for. But because, yet again, Vortex seems to have an issue with making red dots when there are plenty of competitive options that outperform it on the reliability, options, standardization, dot size, and in a 507 comp's particular case, price, I just can't recommend this to anybody that's looking for a reliable piece of equipment that then plans on going and shooting the thing a whole bunch. Because look, everything's super reliable when you don't shoot with it at all. So thanks guys, I hate it. I can't wait until the updated version of this comes out and you force me to do this again. That said guys, if you want to come out and train with us, you absolutely can do that. We have class listings that go out to December in places like Lebanon, Pennsylvania, Fitzpatrick, Alabama, Picayune, Mississippi, and Huntsville, Ohio. We are also looking to add more classes to the schedule at present, so be on the hunt for those. If you want to support the channel, you can absolutely do that because our Patreon link is in the description below also. If you want something out of that, $41 a month gets you as much open enrollment training as you would like, provided that it isn't a logistically challenging course like a soft skin vehicle class or something like a private class for fairly obvious reasons. But basically everything else that we have listed on the website presently, to include our basic weapons manipulation stuff or our night vision course, is open game. If you'd like to take a look at our social media stuff, you can absolutely do that too. Links for all of that stuff, including our website and Patreon, are in the description below for things like our Facebook page or the Discord that I recently opened as well. And if you don't want to do any of that but still want to support the channel, you can absolutely do that with a super thanks, or you could simply like, subscribe, hit the little notification bell, because that's the real subscribe button anyway. But now that all the plugs are done, I can just say this. Remember guys, a regular guy's firearm is the last defense against tyranny. Be easy.